Hello, so this week for the Hire Me engine, patent pending, name subject to change, I decided to implement controller support. So I did this through SDL. I didn't have to implement any new libraries, but I did do a couple of interesting things in the code that make it work in some interesting ways that are very different from how keyboard and mouse support works. Chiefly, this comes down to the fact that there can be multiple controllers, and I wanted to be able to balance for that. So the system that I came up with involves first just detecting all of the controllers that are connected to the computer when the game is started. Next week I'd like to be able to add controllers on the fly, but I was not able to do that this week. So when the system first starts up, it detects all of the controllers and it caches all of them basically. So it knows that they exist in these lovely data structures here. And it fills the unconnected controller IDs queue. The point of this queue is so that if the user isn't using a controller, it's not getting checked for inputs. It doesn't matter, and it's not affecting anything in the gameplay. We want only the controller connected to the particular player that the user wants to be able to use that controller to be able to use it. I also keep track of the players here, and just while I'm looking at data structures, I had to make another sort of map of possible buttons to plug into their SDL code versions. The functions that I came up with for this particular feature, where are they? I have a connect and disconnect function. Again, I'd like to be able to call these automatically if, for instance, the controller disconnects from the computer, or otherwise the player or the user wants to switch them around manually. Currently, they just kind of auto-assign to whichever controller is listed first, to whichever player asks for it first. So yeah, I'd like to be able to make it a bit more manual if you want those options. I also have a little convenience get function, and I should probably add a couple more of these for the convenience of just kind of knowing which controller. Well, this one tells you which controller is being used with that particular player. There's probably a couple others that I could implement next week. And then, similar to the existing key ones, I had to implement some get button down, get button up functions. And the way that these work is basically every controller has its own system akin to what the keyboard normally is doing with the the generic versions of these functions. And when an event comes through for a particular controller on a frame, it sends that controller to the just became down controllers and just became up controllers. So I only have to check a controller for whether any of its buttons just became down or up on the frames where that's actually true. So I don't extraneously have to check every single time. And then for getting joystick X and Y position, I guess, was fairly similar to the mouse scroll wheel function, but I had to navigate. I can show the code. I had to navigate SDL's specific formatting for getting which stick you're actually using. So I did that by having the user have to plug in left or right for the left stick or right stick. There might be a better way to do it, but that felt like the most user-friendly API, I suppose. But yeah, I guess nothing more than to show this in action, so I'll connect my controller. This all works over Bluetooth, which is nice. And I've made a little demo game based on Rollerball. And yeah, you can see Jumpman here is fully controlled by the stick. His animation is hooked up to it, where when I point the stick in a direction, the sprite flips in that direction, and not if I'm not holding anything. I can hit buttons to make him jump. Next week I'd like to make a game that shows off more of the buttons of the controller, but suffice to say I've tested it, they do all work. And as a fun side effect of the way that I've done this, it was deliberate, but you know, we'll call it a side effect. I can do proper multiplayer. But to do multiplayer, of course, you need a second controller. And what better second controller than the Wii Classic controller? Yes, this works with anything that I can plug into my computer, basically. And I have an adapter lying around that lets me detect input from my Wii Classic controller. And so it fully works, which I will demonstrate now. 5, what you saw me plug in there on the map, is just a second controller or a second player that is keyed to have player num 1, where this is player num 0. Actually, I think this will be assigned to player num 0, yeah. And this will be assigned to player num 1. So you can see, they can kind of duke it out. Boom, yeah. Again, that one jumps, completely separate. Gotta bring this guy back on screen. So yeah, controller support.